an option. I wouldn't be surprised to see an early wheelbarrow in a fast castle, but we are going to be jumping in to game number 2 in this series between Beastyqt and MarineLorD. Spawning in over on the west side of the map, playing as the English in the color blue, it is Beastyqt.
And on the right side, we do have MarineLorD playing with the Rus in red, so his color is going to match the flag. I'm sure that we are very happy about this one over here. And to answer the question that you started with regarding the fast castle, not impossible by Beasty. We have seen instances of him trying to do that. In fact, when he played versus Viper on Lipany, he used English for a fast castle. He ended up losing, but the build was actually pretty good. It's a very much extended Dark Age into a strong farming eco and then straight fast castle, because in the end, you still have a very nice castle age timing with it, and you're going to get that second town center as soon as possible. And this is something that really has been a key focus point for players recently, getting that second town center going, regardless of what civilization they are really playing.
We can see already Beasty is going to be luring up all of those wolves, trying to take them off for MarineLorD. We can see he's got 3 of them following in tow, with a whole bunch of sheep out here as well. You can see him running a little bit ahead, and now Beasty going to be dropping down that mill, so we do potentially see an early wheelbarrow. In fact, get your wheelbarrow alarms out, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening right here. It is going to be the wheelbarrow coming out before 2 minutes for Beastyqt. So do we potentially see, is it going to be a fast wheelbarrow into a fast castle? I wouldn't be surprised if that is going to be the option. Interesting position for the farms as well. Take a look at that. Look where he's put the mill down at the start of the game. We've actually got a double wheelbarrow coming out right now. That is big. But look at where this mill is situated. He's got it right on the edge, up against the town center. It is
bit of an awkward spot.
Yeah, it is a bit of an awkward spot, but I feel like he might have placed it with the intent, just thinking about his second mill as well, because normally you'd have people just looking to do the Vortex farms, but obviously that upsets everything. You know, that it upsets the symmetry, the synergy, all those good words. This, at least it keeps it, you know, it keeps it real.
Yeah, I think one of the concerns is that right now he wouldn't be able to place farms at one of the desired locations because the forest is blocking it, but that's not going to be a big deal going forward. So unless he wants to place, let's say, 15 farms in the next 2 or 3 minutes, it's not going to be a big deal for him. So yeah, that's a decent mill spot, little awkwardly positioned, but it's not going to be a big problem for him. Now the question is, how is the bounty looking like for MarineLorD? Because I'm curious about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things to note was obviously a lot of wolves went over towards Beastyqt. I'm curious whether Beasty actually opened with a double scout opening. He did go with a double scout, but 290 bounty going to be coming in for MarineLorD. We see the age up coming through already for him as well. Obviously, wheelbarrows opening up for both of these players, but no delay going to be coming through for MarineLorD. He's got plenty of gold in the bank, and he's going to be looking at getting that age up through, tapping away with the golden age. Meanwhile, Beastyqt, he's just minding his own business, adding in farms as he goes here. And I guess the question is, what do we see from MarineLorD? I'm assuming that it's going to be some sort of early ball play.
I would think that, especially based on seeing the English, if he has good scouting information, he should know that his opponent is going to be slow to feudal. I would love to see a boar into second town center play, because your English opponent isn't going to put up that much pressure on you, so you can justify being super greedy. I think the boar is essentially a must, because that's probably your best source of food out there, but with the Golden Gate you can justify that second town center as well, so you could play pretty greedy over here if you're MarineLorD.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'd love to see that coming out from him. That would make a lot of sense as well, and we can see only 3 villagers tapping away at that landmark for Beastyqt, so not in a real rush to get up to that next stage just yet. But one of the things to note, MarineLorD is a little bit delayed in his age up. One of the things that we did see coming out of players from the Rus was this sort of early town center where they would age up at like 3 minutes and 55 and look to get that second town center up at 4:55. Not going to be the case here today for MarineLorD. Still could think about that second town center though. He's got plenty of resources in the bank and could be beelining towards it. But do we see movement out on the map towards that boar down towards the south? I think we might.
Yep.
Villagers beginning to move out. And with that, it looks unlikely that a second town center would come up. We have been seeing, I've been seeing 2 town centers on the boar.
Look at that.
Second town center on the boar. What do we got?
That's the perfect boar spot. Imagine the amount of gold that the hunting cabin would generate. Okay, give me my over-under for that gold count on the hunting cabin that's placed right next to that boar.
I'm gonna have to go with a solid 46. Oh my lord, no, I take it back. I take it back. That is 51 right there.
I'm going with 62.
Wow, 62. All right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. 43.
I didn't want to go below yours because I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, it cannot be lower than 50. I was like, oh, 43. I mean, it's still respectable.
Where is there a potential that we do see a high trade house coming out? Now, you guys know Viper, infamously on King of the Hill, did a high trade house that, in my opinion, at least as far as we've seen in competitive Age of Empires 4, is a world record for the high trade house. I'm sure that, you know, people have done high trade houses on Black Forest that are like 17,000 gold generated or something like that. But when it came to competitive Age of Empires 4, we saw 430 gold a minute coming out for that bad boy. Do we see more than that coming out here potentially for MarineLorD?
Possibly, although there is some risk associated with you placing it so out of your base. So I'm not exactly sure if that's the right idea there for MarineLorD, but at least the possibility is there. So far, he's playing one town center, and for Beasty, what is he up to? He's adding a couple of longbows over here, going very heavy on the farming eco. He has wheelbarrow, no other upgrades. So far, fairly defensive gameplay over here for Beasty.
Yeah, one of the things that we have seen out from him and fellow English players where they do look to go for this Castle Age is they just gather up their gold initially, and then they're going to be transitioning over onto farms. But they'll get out a handful of longbows and just look to apply a little bit of pressure with that. So we might potentially see that, but we already have a knight coming out in MarineLorD with the double broadaxe. That to me indicates that he is going to be playing it a little bit more in the second age than what you would expect. So by taking that double broadaxe, to me that indicates, hey, I'm going to be gathering up a lot of wood. This is going to be the Guz build that we're going to be seeing, so I would expect that we might even see some forward archery ranges. But who knows what comes out for him, because it does look like he's going towards Castle Age with the amount of resources he's got in the bank right now.
Yeah, that is definitely an option over there, and it's like actually going to be a much faster Castle Age for MarineLorD than it is going to be for Beasty. And that's a source of concern right now for Beasty. You see, he's starting to wall himself up. This is the first time he's doing that in this set, obviously. He couldn't do that with the Mongols. He's gonna have a crazy farming eco. The question is, how is he going to buffer up that Castle Age power spike from the Rus?
Yeah, and that's the question, isn't it? Because Beasty's obviously going to have a pretty solid castle, obviously, when he's got his second town center out. English don't notoriously, or don't typically have the best Castle Age. But this new sort of build order, this new sort of opening is definitely one of those potent things. And now we can actually see Scout's going to be tanking up for the knight here. He's going to be looking to secure up this boar towards the north and take it out, put that gold towards something useful, and we're going to have that age up coming through for MarineLorD any second now. Actually going to be relying on the boar kill to take him over that threshold, and manages to get to 667 gold before dropping down that Abbey of the Trinity. So unfortunately, no high trade house today.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact that his Castle Age is really fast over here, you can justify the Abbey. If it was much slower, you could probably go for the high trade house, but it's never a bad thing to pick up those relics early with those warrior monks, so this is probably the good decision right now for MarineLorD. And on the other side, Beast is also banking up his resources for Castle Age, so he's not gonna be that much behind, but he's fully aware that he is going to be, to a certain extent, behind his opponent.
All right. Well, we'll have to see exactly how he looks to play it, because at this point in time, it's starting to look a bit concerning. We're seeing this timing come out from MarineLorD, and I love the fact that he's got the double broadaxe. So I guess the thing for me is the fact that he's got the double broadaxe typically is going to signal the fact that he's going to Age 2. But the fact that he's doing this in Age 3 is going to open up his economy, and it's going to give him the potential, we are actually seeing it, a second town center is going to be coming out for MarineLorD. So not only is he going to be having that Age 3 timing, he's going to have a second town center, and he's going to have relics coming up as well. This is going to be difficult for Beastyqt. Obviously, when it gets to the late game, Beastyqt is going to be in a great position playing the English, but when it comes to the Rus, well, Rus are still a very strong late game civ, but you got to remember, when it comes to the infantry battles, you're going to have longbows that are able to take out those Streltsy. Streltsy are very effective against late game civilizations, but if they've got a counter to those Streltsy, that's where it gets different. And we talked about this earlier. The Chinese, effective against those Streltsy. When it comes to the English, effective against them as well. Chinese obviously use the Nesta B. The English use the Longbowman. And that's really what sets them apart. But now we've got that Age 3 coming through for Beastyqt. And it looks like Beasty is going to be heading up happily, healthily. He's got the walls continuing to come up. And we'll take a look over towards the base now of MarineLorD as he begins to head out towards that other hunt. He's just moving out all over the map. I'm curious to see exactly what his bounty is at. I'm assuming it's still at that 460. There's been no recent, and now dropping down a town center. The town center going to get cancelled. He went to go for a second one, and there we go. He's going to be hiding it up on the fence line. So this is only this is the second town town center he's putting down here, not the third one, but manages to drop down that second town center down, and he's going to be A-okay here. Yeah, we'll take a look over at Beasty's base. No upgrades. Actually, I take that back. I apologize. We've got horticulture coming through. It's great to see horticulture coming through. For anybody unfamiliar with horticulture, it is the tier 1 upgrade for your mill. It is a rare occasion to see this coming through at the high level. Players often neglect it, forget it, especially when playing the English. Viper in particular, one of the players that loves to avoid going for horticulture. And it's something that sort of gets me, because it's a civilization that typically does very well with horticulture, the English, even in the late game. Yeah, we'll watch to see how it plays out.
So you're telling me there's horticulture. Oh, look who's back.
Welcome back, Liadkor. And yeah, we've got horticulture in this mix. Beastyqt going for a bit of horticulture. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's definitely going to buff his food eco, and this is exactly how you want to approach being English right now. In this current meta, it's all about that farming eco, so buffing the efficiency of that even further is going to be beautiful. It looks like we do have that second town center up after all for MarineLorD. Nice and cozy in that corner. I wonder if Beasty knows about that. Do you have any intel on that?
No, I don't, because I just took some pickles, Liadkor. Liadkor, don't do me like this. I'm trying to eat my pickles in peace. Hold on. All right, there we go. I got him down. That's a spicy pickle. What was your question? Sorry, I was too busy with the pickles.
All right, so do we have any vision from Beasty on that town center from MarineLorD? So is Beasty aware that he's playing an even town center game with MarineLorD, or is he anticipating him having the town center advantage?
I would suspect he doesn't know about the second town center, but I would suspect that he knows about the second town center, if you know what I mean. You're playing up against the English. You know that they're going to be going for a second town center. So it's only natural that your enemy is going to be going for that second town center. They want to even it out. And we haven't seen any aggression. We haven't seen, you know, one of the very common strategies, or not very common, but one of the strategies we did see. I remember when Doubt pulled this out for the first time. When people worked out, hold on a minute, the English can actually beat the horse archers, then all of a sudden the men-at-arms came out from the Rus. So the Rus would just go fast castle men-at-arms with a battering ram and would just kill the English player. So that is always going to be one of the options, and that didn't come out as an option. So you can only assume 13 minutes into the game, with players being this passive, that there'd have to be a second town center out, and you would just almost have to consider it fact.
Yeah, that's a great point indeed. You're basically playing implied odds. So you don't know it's there, but you're suspecting it's there because that's natural response to what you are doing. And now Beasty is piling up some stone in the bank, so he could think about a castle potentially in the foreseeable future. And that would be a great position for him, like dropping it right next to the sacred site in the middle would secure the sacred site, and more importantly, it would give him a siege workshop on the front line, plus of course the network of castles bonus as well. Looks like MarineLorD very successful finding all that relics though, so it is going to be just 4 villager deficit, but that is 5 relics for MarineLorD to work with. It doesn't get any better than that.
That is it, right? That is the pinnacle of Rus play. 2 towns and 5 relics, and he's going to have 2 sacred sites at the very least. It's all downhill from there for MarineLorD. For Beastyqt, though, he has got quite a way to get back into this. He's obviously going to have enclosures in the late game. This is something that I was talking about while you were gone. If this does get to Imperial, and I suspect for whatever reason, Highview games always seem to go to Imperial. I don't know what it is about Highview. It might just be the way that, you know, the stealth forest spawn, so players are always hesitant to push out, that sort of thing. But if it does get to Imperial, we're going to see Beastyqt probably in prime position, just because MarineLorD obviously wants to make Streltsy in Imperial Age, but the Longbowmen very effective against the Streltsy in those late stage engagements, and naturally attrition is going to take hold, and Beastyqt would come out in top there, or on top there rather. But as the game continues moving forward, even though MarineLorD's got that advantage with regard to the relics, and he's kept up in the village account, keep in mind that eventually if Imperial does come out and enclosures do get researched, then Beastyqt is going to be in prime position. But speaking of prime position, MarineLorD continuing to push up now. He's got quite an army here, Liadkor.
He does have a decent army over here. Tower is now up with fortifications and the Springald, but the archers are pushing deep, and the critical mass has been achieved by MarineLorD. He doesn't care about the spearmen. He does have those tanky knights to absorb damage with, and all of the army for Beasty just light infantry, and they just die so easily to those archers and the knights. This is a big win over here for MarineLorD, despite being a quite risky commitment to a certain extent.
Yeah, he's done a great job of just taking out a lot of these longbows. Beasty's going to have to re-establish himself, but just remember, Beasty isn't the kind of guy who's just going to quit after losing a fight. You know, a lot of lesser players would just quit. They're like, I'm against MarineLorD, the game's over, good game. Like, that would be it, but not Beasty. He's not the type of guy who's just going to tap out after losing a fight like that. No, no, no. He's going to exhaust his opponent out as much as possible, and he will try his best to win this game. We've seen it plenty of times before where Beasty has looked down and out, and some way, somehow, he's thrown a haymaker and he's connected with the left cheek of MarineLorD and taken him out. So do not be surprised if it does happen.
And I agree with that approach, to be honest, because if you think about it, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? If you think that you're already losing a game, might as well try. The worst thing that can happen is that you will lose 20 minutes after, but the best thing that can happen is that your opponent makes a mistake and you can exploit that for great effect. And how many times have we seen just one player having the lead for the entire game and then suddenly the opponent launches a counterattack, kills 25 villagers, and he wins the game? So yeah, it's the approach that I really love from players if they play it out to the bitter end. There is just one factor to consider with that, and that is attrition. So you can only do this if you do have the stamina to play 7 long games, and Beasty does have it. So does MarineLorD, by the way. Both of these players stream 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day.
Yeah, good point. When it comes to stamina, both of these guys definitely going to be in a top position. Obviously, a lot of these players are both content creators as well, but a couple of idols up to the north getting caught out here by Vodka, doing a great job of observing and spots that one out. And now we've seen Sacred Sight getting neutralized by a single archer over towards that eastern flank. He'll be met with a couple of villagers and will be taken out inevitably. It does go down, and now is all going to be returned. But Beasty's starting to stack up gold as well as food. Do we potentially have an Age 4 coming through? And if so, is it going to be a Wingard Palace? I can't imagine it would be anything else. I know that some people do like to think that the Berkshire Palace is all that, but it just compared to the Wingard's just got so much longevity on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and Beasty loves to play for the long game, and in the long run, the Wingard Pass is way better. By the way, MarineLorD has added a 3rd town center, but he's yet to switch into the farming eco, and that's where the English power comes in. Beasty has his farming eco set up. He doesn't have to make that transition. As you said, he can just sit on those farms, pile up the resources for Imperial, and he wants to prioritize that Imperial Age because the moment he gets there, he's going to get an enormous boost to his eco, that being the enclosures upgrade on his farms.
Yeah, well, enclosures is just going to enable him to stay in the base. He's not going to have to leave the base. Even for gold, he won't need to leave the base. He's just going to be able to sit in there. But now we start to see trebuchets being added in. MarineLorD also getting a lot of upgrades. We see Boyar's Fortitude beginning to come through for him as well. And now I'm starting to get a bit concerned because even though we can see MarineLorD is taking his time, once Imperial is hit for Beastyqt, MarineLorD is going to put the foot down. He is going to try every single move he's got to be able to take down his enemy. And he knows that he's got to try and take him out because, as we talked about a little bit earlier, and it is going to be the Wingard that does go down, not towards the back of the base. So this is quite at the front, and he's already seen the trebuchet out. So I got to scratch my head a little bit and say, I don't know how I feel about that Wingard positioning. But I guess he doesn't really have a lot of space back there, does he?
Yeah, he probably wants to also save that space for farms in the future. So you prefer to keep your eco safer compared to your landmarks because you can always repair the landmark, but you don't really want knights running straight into your food eco on your flank. So it makes sense to try and preserve the eco at the back and then place the landmark wherever it fits. It also makes it easier to reinforce the battlefield from there, because keep in mind that if you place that landmark at the back of your base, it's going to take a lot of time for those trebuchets to get through your base and to the battlefield. But as you pointed out, this could very well be a timing push here by MarineLorD. The moment he sees his opponent being in Imperial, that's the moment where he needs to launch his assault.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to push out. Now the Imperial Age is hit. Let's see what his reaction is. And straight away, heading towards the base of Beastyqt. He is definitely on course to take out his enemy. And now, what kind of upgrades do we have from Beastyqt at this point in time? It just looks like it's going to be that Wingard army that is coming out. No other upgrades coming through at this point. He's getting specialized pick, which is the Age 2, or the Feudal Age upgrade for his mining. So that is going to be one thing. It looks like a Spearman raid coming in as well down on the wood line. Villager's going to have to fall back from Beastyqt, though. He is trying his best just to keep his villagers alive. He's at 90 villagers at the moment, managing to keep up with the 3 town centers of his opponent. Is he sitting on 3 TC himself? How many TCs has this guy got out right now? I think Beasty might have a 3rd TC as well.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. Yeah,
No,
that is just 2 town centers. But he
Just
had that
a
for a lot longer.
Damn,
He had that for a lot
impressive.
longer. So that's the reason why he's only 4 behind.
I guess there was also spearman raids going on. You know, you can't discount the spearman raids. But take a look at this. MarineLorD actually just going to be chilling back. This is not a good sign for MarineLorD. All of a sudden, I'm starting to get concerned for him because Beasty has made it up to Imperial. We see a keep coming down. Now, keep in mind that there is a trebuchet right there, so it may have been fortunate that the villagers tried their best to put that keep down, but it got cancelled by the wooden fortress, because had that trebuchet turned around and actually taken out that keep, then that would have been 800 stone thrown away.
Bit of an overextension here, potentially from Beasty. He's yet to grab his Imperial Age upgrades, and that is a big army coming in here from MarineLorD. This is as good as it gets for MarineLorD, despite the fact that Beasty does have the network of castles helping him. But that's it, crossbows and archers over here just decimating all those men-at-arms, and Beasty's forced back into his base. This castle might even get denied.
Yeah, still yet to see any elite upgrades coming through from Beastyqt. You can see him trying to tee off towards that backside, falling towards the Springalds. The keep is going to go up. Doesn't look doubtful at this point as we begin to see more and more villagers being pulled towards it. Men-at-arms also coming out and looking to dish out some damage. Have we got armor clad coming through for these guys just yet? Let's take a look and see how much armor they've got on them. They have got how much? Go on, Vodka. You can click a Men-at-arms. I'll let you. Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. 8 armor on those bad boys. Oh, yeah. You know the Giga Chat is out, and it is about, oh, yeah, an elite men-at-arms coming through. This could be bad right now. Elite longbowmen also coming through. This is not looking good for MarineLorD. He's got to try and get himself up to Imperial Age, and then he's got to try and stabilize, and it's going to be hard. Insufficient wood.
Oh, -3. -3 in the bank. That is definitely something I would call insufficient. But yeah, like, great point that you brought up over there. The combination of men-at-arms and longbows are deadly, because how do you kill the men-at-arms? You probably need stealthy or crossbows, but the longbows will pick them off from a distance, right? So this combination of men-at-arms and longbows, especially if you have the network of castles, or even better, network of citadels bonus buffing you, it's an insanely difficult combination of units to deal with.
That's a great point. The network of castles is really what sets it apart and sends it into overdrive. But now, in the back of the base, we see the knights looking to make a little bit of a roundabout, but they get scared off by a single knight together working in tandem with a spearman and a men-at-arms. Is going to be enough to drive it back, and now we can see plenty of units finally coming back in, going to be able to repel this once again. A little bit of an overchop going to be coming through, but we can definitely see Beasty setting himself up for the late game. He's on 170 pop. MarineLorD also going to Imperial right now and looking pretty decent.
Look at those combat villagers going through that stout forest right next to the battle, going for that gold mine. That could be an indication for MarineLorD that, hey, my opponent is still a little low on gold. And there's enclosures for Beasty, but obviously that is a nice gold pre-call, but it might not be a complete substitute to mined gold income if you're spending a ton of that aforementioned gold.
Actually, have we got enclosures? Can we take a look right now?
Yeah, he's gotten that.
He hasn't forgotten enclosures. You guys know sometimes people do forget enclosures. Yeah, you can see those oh, jeez. I dreamt about that last night. And let me tell you, there was no insufficient wood there. Okay, moving forward. University going to be coming down from MarineLorD. You'll be looking to get all those upgrades.
And look at that. Trenches are being made now. Beasty coming in with the stone walls and palisade, or fortified palisade to be precise, for MarineLorD. You get the impression that this could drag out to be a long game. Wouldn't be the first time we're seeing a long one on Highview, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, we've got those stone walls looking to come up now, and players slowly but steadily taking control of the map. Look at those beautiful stone walls coming down, I'm excited to see where this game continues moving forward. Actually, I just realized we've had a patch recently that has changed the way that stone walls have worked, haven't we?
Did we?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there was a patch that came through that was focusing on team games, and basically it made it so that when a stone wall is being constructed, it can actually be targeted down by individual units. So it used to only be siege that could take it out, but now all of a sudden, when it's under construction, it can actually be focused down by units. Oh, apparently it's tomorrow. Okay, apparently it is tomorrow. It's not in yet. Never mind. I digress.
I was a little scared. I was like, I don't remember that patch. I hope you're not leaking any confidential information, so...
Yeah, I was as well. I saw something on YouTube. I was like, I remember someone posting, like, this is the patch. I'm like, oh, cool, we can talk about it. Okay, I am glad that that is not going to be the case then.
All right, back we go. Longbows detached from that group of men-at-arms. The crossbows could take good fights, and Now with Network of Citadels coming in, Beastie's army is going to be fully ready to take those fights. The question is what exactly MarineLorD is going to do with this one. He's got some elite knights, got some boyars, or streltsy rather, in that, and that could still be a deadly combination, especially if he finds a critical mass and overruns those longbows with.
Yeah, he's looking pretty decent at the moment. You can see those numbers starting to build up here. He's got the elite knights out as well, so all those elite upgrades coming in. But look at the upgrades. We just saw shattering projectiles come through for Beastyqt. He's also looking to get the ram plus trebuchet damage upgrade. He's also getting a whole bunch. Look at the Windguard armies that he's got in queue. He's got 4 of those bad boys in queue. He is starting to push out plenty of siege right now. And we are heading... Do we dare see a Reboldequin? Do we dare?
Maybe. Honestly, if you're MarineLorD, and this is what I'm thinking about right now, you mentioned the Wingguard army. That gives you a lot of trebuchets, but that could be the weakness of Beastyqt. Trebuchets do cost quite a lot of population, and Beastyqt does have openings on his base. It's not like he's fully stonewalled. So if MarineLorD does not go for a ton of siege, just goes for pure army, he could have the critical mass to overrun his opponent, and I guess this is what Beastyqt is thinking about. Start stonewalling himself. If he's fully stonewalled, that's not gonna work for MarineLorD. But as long as Beastyqt is open, he could just use a critical mass of units without siege to just overpower the standing army of Beastyqt.
I hate to interrupt you right now, Liadkor, but there is a meme alert that needs to be alerted to everybody. It is over 9,000. Actually, he's just sold all the wood. Ah, damn. It was a brief window. We saw MarineLorD with over 9,000 wood in the stockpile, but it looks like he's spent some or sold some. I'm not sure exactly where it's gone. But we can see that when it gets to the late game, macro obviously going to be one of the last thing players look to worry about. It's going to be looking to sort of fight over these strategic locations, make sure that they're not losing too much military. And look at that re-wall coming up. Just when you thought that bombard was going to be able to break through that wall, villagers had something else to say about it.
Yeah, nice re-wall over there for Beastyqt. And as you pointed out, MarineLorD has other things to address, so he simply can't pay attention to all his eco. And he doesn't even need to be honest. Like, floating wood is the least of your problems. It sounds weird, but if you think about that, you can turn wood into essentially everything. You can sell it. If you are low on food, you can just convert it instantly to like 25 extra farms. You can use that to repair your buildings. So it's probably one of the better resources to float. If you're floating anything, it's probably best to float wood rather than, let's say, floating 7,000 stone.
You're 100% right. There is such thing as insufficient wood, but there is no such thing as sufficient wood, at least according to my girlfriend. But now moving forward, we see MarineLorD with quite a large army here. He's going to continue pushing towards his enemy, and Beastyqt going to be looking to try and defend, starting to drop down a whole bunch of barracks here. So it's going to start looking concerning right now as those knights begin to break through.
Yeah, the knights are breaking through, and those bad boys, those are scary. I mean, they do have the Boyar's Fortitude, they do have the Knight Sabers upgrade as well, so they do have the mobility advantage over Beastie's army, and they're very tanky, they do have a high damage output. We're always talking about, you know, French Knights being such a powerful late-game unit, and the Rus Knights often get overlooked. These bad boys do mean business, and they are there for the kill.
Yeah, we can see that trebuchet number starting to climb as well. He's up to 4 trebs now, Beastyqt is. And he's looking to get all those upgrades. We see the elite army tactics, the incendiary arrows, as well as biology all coming through for him now. So he is definitely doing well. And look at those beautiful knights behind enemy lines now. Got their golden coats out. I say golden coats, it's more like the front is a little bit golden, but take a look at this. We've got knights behind enemy lines on both sides, and the keep crawl begins. Now, we talked about this earlier. We said if there's any possibility of this game going long, or a game going long, it's going to be the one on Highview. For whatever reason, players love to wall up like mad on this map. It always seems to end up in these stalemates. I'm going to call it early. I'm going to call it now. Do we dare see a wonder come out right now, Liadkor? Is there a potential for a wonder?
I don't think so. I feel like MarineLorD's army is so much better right now that he's got a momentum here. He's got the Knights, he's got the Streltsy, and look at the army of Beastie right now. Just men-at-arms and longbows. Neither of those will work well against all of those Lancers, and now we're seeing a commitment here from MarineLorD. He knows that he's got the army advantage by a pretty massive margin right now.
And we see that the keep has actually got boiling oil. It's going to continue throughout this fight. The longer this fight goes on, the boiling oil going to be spilled down upon the army of his opponent. And remember, the closer we get to Beastyqt's base, the faster those reinforcements are going to be meeting the battlefield. And indeed, he does repel it. So just as it did look concerning, all of a sudden, things have stabilized for him. Now, Bombard's going to be coming out. And obviously, MarineLorD, he's got a lot of advantages in the late game. One of those being Streltsy, one of those being the very strong Horse Archers. But keep in mind, he's also got the cheaper siege, as well as these unique upgrades, including this fine-tuned gun, which is coming in right now, going to be reducing that reload speed on the Bombards. But remember, Over on the other side, Beastyqt has got access to that network of citadels, which is going to be increasing his attack speed and cancelling out that bombard bonus from his opponent.
The trebuchet fire is deadly as well. He's got the shattering projectiles, and the first volley damaged one of those bombards so heavily it went down like 20% HP, so you gotta respect that. But the castle has fallen regardless, and this unit composition right now for MarineLorD is working out so well. 29 knights, 11 streltsy, and you see Beasty is shifting heavily towards the spearmen, but his army is still very, very slow and could be quite exposed to a flanking.
A little bit of a long-distance mine coming in. It's just the classic. You know, sometimes they like to do it, sometimes they don't. They have forgotten maybe, decided not to build the mining camp, and now we've got a little bit of long-distance mining coming in from MarineLorD. Look at those villagers go. How far are those villagers actually going to go to drop off that gold? I know that there's a battle happening with 200 population, but yeah, that is the real story right there. Look at that. Look at that mining. That is impressive. These villagers are intent on gathering this gold, and he's going to continue throughout this game gathering up that gold with, you know, 57 villagers on gold, and he's going to wonder where the hell his economy is. Well, it's in that walking distance, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, he's got a lot of things to pay attention to because Beasty is now breaking out of his base. 4 trebuchets setting up to start shelling the keep of MarineLorD in the middle. On the flanks, there is no chance for MarineLorD to break in, so he has to take a direct battle, and that's something that you want to avoid against the English. English, obviously, is probably the civilization that's most familiar with and is most happy about taking direct engagements in confined spaces.
Yeah, that's a really decent point. I guess for me, the big thing that I want to see is, you know, we theorized about this earlier in the game, that in the event, insufficient wood coming out right there, no repairs going to be happening today, it seems, and it is unfortunate. You know, MarineLorD on one side, 8,700 wood, Beastyqt, insufficient wood. I mean, there is no number that you can put on insufficient wood. Maybe -3, -6 maybe. Yeah, now Beastyqt going to be looking to clean this up. But I guess the big thing for me is, you know, now that we've hit this quote-unquote peak late game, is Beastyqt on the what many would call the superior late game civilization able to is he able to overcome the difficulty that he's facing right now with the Rus? There's just so many units coming through to his base.
Yeah, this is difficult. I feel like Beasty still has the better late-game civilization, but right now the problem is that he needs to stop this sort of slow bleeding that he's suffering from. So the flanking maneuvers and, you know, just the fact that he has to pursue all those knights with a horde of infantry, because this is opening windows in the middle for MarineLorD to start picking off precious villagers. Obviously, you don't care about villagers that much in Imperial Age now, although you don't really want to fall down to the 80s with that villager count, and you've just gone down to 90, so you gotta keep that in mind, especially if these Lancers find some juicy villager picks as well.
Yeah, he's definitely getting through those walls, doing a great job. Beasty's still got 1,200 stone in the bank, so can definitely look to re-wall, but struggling a little bit with the micromanagement that's coming out from MarineLorD. MarineLorD definitely looking very strong at this point. Obviously, everything is going in favor of him at this point, but Beasty going to be trying his best to clean it up, and we can see that villager count starting to dwindle. 128 for MarineLorD, only 86 for Beastyqt right now.
Yeah, Beasty has a big resource bank, so he's got a buffer, and he will replace those villagers with army, which gives him a quite decent military momentum. But sustainability is gonna be a bit of a question. Now, hear me out on this, okay? Hear me out. 500 IQ idea. MarineLorD could use a siege tower. On the right side, there's a stone wall he can't break through, but there's a gold mine right next to that wall. A siege tower to put some archers or streltsy on top of that wall would actually be beneficial to harass that gold mine.
I'll give you a 16 IQ response, and that is MarineLorD got the bombard, yo. And bombard going to be breaking through that wall very quickly, unfortunately, but I do like where you were coming from with regard to that.
Do you get style points for bombards?
No, not really. No, you don't. But you do get style points for killing them killing siege with horsemen. And now those horsemen are going to be taking out a couple of those traps and now going to be falling back, doing a great job there. But we continue to see the transition happening and also getting in court architects for MarineLorD. So looking to really secure up and solidify this position in the late game, increasing the health of his buildings. And court architects coming in for Beastyqt. It's the classic 35-minute court architect timing for both of these plays. Look at that. Beautiful stuff.
There's something else in that global queue as well. If you look at the right side, well, right now it's obscured by all the military units coming out, but you could see for a brief moment that MarineLorD had traders in the queue. So he's setting himself up for long term, and that is something that he has to start thinking about. Both players have to start thinking about that, to be honest, but especially MarineLorD, because at some point he's going to start running out of gold. Whereas for Beastyqt, of course, he still has enclosures, and that's where we're entering the domain, where the English will prevail if the opponent doesn't have a reasonable trade set up.
Ah, Liadkor, do not be confused by those long-distance gold miners. They might look like traders, but I assure you, they are actually villagers in disguise. They were making their way across the map. It looks like finally they were able to get down a mining camp on that gold mine, but they did lose their lives, unfortunately. So MarineLorD definitely going to be a little bit upset that he's lost his traders, I mean villagers, down on that mining camp.
He's replacing them with real traders, you know.
Yes, no, that's a good point. I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues to unfold. Beastyqt over on his side, I'd be curious to see whether he's looked to set up trade yet. Obviously, he's going to have a trading post, a neutral trading post up towards the north. So you'd expect to see markets coming down for him shortly, but he's got so much resources, or so many resources in the bank. I don't think it even matters for him to even be going into this. He hasn't even taken the sacred site that is sitting within his walls.
Yeah, the thing is that Beast is fine. He's got 1600 gold per minute. Right now, he doesn't need trade, and he's gonna have the enclosures. Like, worst case scenario, he could just make 50 more farms, and he's gonna have a passive trickle of gold, and he can also sell his excess food. So it might actually be more population efficient for him to just do farming rather than trading. But yeah, capturing that sacred site on the left side would definitely be helpful. And now you're seeing some stone walls coming up on the left, so Beast is going for the full trench mode, and it looks like he's also going to intercept this counterattack from MarineLorD.
Yeah, nice little try from MarineLorD, doing a bit of a counter-attack here, bringing out these the horsemen. Obviously, they've got the nice little speed boost coming through. At the same time, counter-attacks happening on the other side of the map. But Beasty slowly but steadily taking control of the map, and his resource count starting to build up. But both resource counts, or for resources for both players, rather, are starting to build up. And once again, I draw your attention to the fact that we may indeed begin to see a wonder on this map. It would be the second time in this tournament that we would see a wonder, and it would be the second time on this map.
The question is whether the opponent gets the notification about that wonder. It wouldn't be the first time that we do have a wonder of the opponent being missed. And that would be quite problematic for either side. But as you said, a wonder is actually an option over here. It's a little risky. I think the key thing with the wonder is that you don't want to drop it the moment you have the resources for it. Because if you do, you will have no resources to replenish your army. But once you have, like, let's say 3,000 excess resources above the amount of resources you need for the wonder, you can justify thinking about it because it would put the opponent on a serious timer, and that might allow you to take more favorable engagements.
Up towards the north, here we go. You can see that we've got villagers on the same wood line right now, and a single knight is behind the wood line and going to be taking them out. He wants to keep all that wood for himself. Streltsy continuing to move out, and we don't really have one just contiguous front here. It just seems to be like we've got action all over the map. You got the classic 28 spearmen chasing a single horseman through the base. Do manage to get picked off eventually by that mass of longbows that have come back through, but slowly but steadily Beastyqt continues to add to his collection of stone walls, and MarineLorD going to be looking to try and take them out, but no player really coming through as a clear victor at this point in time. If I was going to check the scores, or if I was going to assume scores, I would say MarineLorD's probably up by 1,000 or 2, but does it really matter at this point? When you've got 20,000 resources stacked up, like, score means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. Now, one annoying thing here for Beasty is that he's lacking a lot of blacksmith upgrades. He just now started queuing it up. He was at the first attack upgrade only up until now for his melee units, and he didn't have a single melee defense upgrade. So he had this blacksmith idol for quite a long time. Now he's grabbing those, so crisis averted, but his army could have been a lot more powerful in previous battles if he had gotten those upgrades a little sooner, so he probably forgot about those. But he's now fixing that issue, so he's going to be back on track very soon with that.
Yeah, I guess for me, the question is, how does he go about finishing this game? Or how do players look to finish this game? Because for Beasty, I can definitely see it. You know, it's about having that one continuous front. You know, exactly what he's doing now, looking to push forward, securing up the sides. But MarineLorD, I mean, that's the difficult thing for him, because he doesn't have stone walls. He's only got access to those Rus palisade walls. Obviously, they're a little bit stronger. He's got the court architects as well. So I'm assuming he's probably sitting on about 5,000 health for those, but obviously they can be sieged down by units.
Yeah, the thing is that Beasty, first of all, to answer your question, how do they think about finishing the game? I don't think that Beasty necessarily wants to finish a game. Like, his playstyle is not to finish a game. He's like, okay, I'm fine playing 5 hours in this game, So he's not going to risk anything to
It's a
try and
direct
finish
quote,
this game.
by the way. That is a direct quote from Beastyqt. I'm fine playing 5 hours in this game. Yes. Yeah. Notorious for playing long games, but yeah, you're 100% right. He loves to play these long games because, like, this is his zone, right? Like, this is he thrives in this.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the English, what's the hurry? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen in English or for the English in a 5-hour-long game? Nothing. I still have enclosures. I still have the gold income. And, well, even if there is not a single tree left on the map, not a single source of food, gold, or stone is left on the map, I'm still fine. Now, MarineLorD started to mine stone. And let's not forget that we talked about this one, how do you finish the game? MarineLorD has stacked up a substantial amount of resources in the bank, and Beast is playing very defensive right now. If there's any player that wants to go for a wonder, I think that is going to be MarineLorD, and that is where the Golden Gate comes into play, to buy the stone for it.
Now we see a bit of a battle unfold. The first big battle of the game beginning to unfold. A lot of spears coming out, doing a great job on this front line, but Streltsy's in the back line, going to continue working it out. Springeld's trading over the top, not going to be going for any kisses today. And it looks like Beasty going to be coming out on top with regard to the Springeld count. But take a look at MarineLorD. He has definitely done a number on Beastyqt with regard to the infantry. Now going to continue pushing through. These horsemen, together with knights, going to be working in tandem and taking out a lot of these units here. And now he continues to push through. But remember, the closer we get to Beastyqt's base, the closer we get to his reinforcements. 21 men-at-arms, 6 Wingard armies. That is a lot of production coming through for him right now.
Yeah, for a brief moment, we could see all those rally points set to the same location on there, and Beasty is going to have a ton of reinforcements out. He's back to 72 army. One of the concerns that he's facing is that his army is not very population efficient. So, you see, his army is mostly spearmen and longbows, whereas on the other side, as you pointed out, you do have horsemen, you do have knights, high HP, tanky, population-efficient units that can absorb the damage. Now, Beasty is going to address that issue, and now he's mixing in some lancers himself. He just spent like 7,000 food on cavalry, I do believe. Whereas for MarineLorD, looks like he's trying to blast his way through the walls on the right side, and, you know, rebuilding those walls is going to be more and more difficult for Beasty now that there is no more stone left to mine.
Yeah, and that's where trading can definitely come in helpful, because not only does it give you that extra form of income, but it gives you that guaranteed source of gold. Now, obviously, he's got that guaranteed source of gold in enclosures, but it means that he's going to have villagers out there, and they're not going to be working as effectively. So to be able to buy that stone, it's going to take a lot more effort from him. But in the middle of the map, we continue to see this fight slowly unfolding. A lot of Streltsy coming out. I'm curious to see, actually, I can see it on the UI. He's got 34 Streltsy out at the moment. Those men-at-arms going to continue to push down towards those Streltsy. Going to get taken out. A lot of spearmen in there as well. I think he's starting to mix in some hand cannoneers. Are we seeing that? Am I seeing that right, or am I going crazy? I'm going crazy. That's only 12 spearmen.
I don't see any. We have a lot of men-at-arms, lancers, spearmen, longbows, so very diverse composition, but no hand cannoneers for Beasty.
Yeah, so as this late game continues to develop, I guess at this point in time, we're still in a bit of a stalemate. MarineLorD dropping below that 9,000 wood threshold, so for one of the first times in this game, we do see insufficient wood coming out for both players here. But nice little attack coming in up towards this northern position. Village is going to get cleaned up slowly but steadily. And knight numbers now starting to build for Beastyqt. So a bit of a transition coming through here.
And one of the concerning things here for Beasty is that, as you see, he's running out of mineable gold. And the passive gold trickle for enclosures is really powerful. We're talking about, as you see on the overlay, about 700 gold per minute. But how about MarineLorD having 2 sacred sites, 5 relics for 700 per minute, and a bunch of traders? And while Beasty does have a pretty decent resource bank, if he only has 700 gold per minute, he could be ground down on the gold count in the next few minutes by MarineLorD, because MarineLorD can replace his gold-heavy units a lot easier than Beasty can.
Yeah, we can see the gold difference between these two guys. It might look similar, 3.5k versus 5.5k, but look at the gold per minute. That's where it's really going to be set apart. MarineLorD's on 2,500 gold a minute. He's got the relics, he's got the sacred sites, and of course he's got the gold mines that are still ticking away. Whereas Beastyqt, he's just got those enclosures. That's it. He hasn't even taken his sacred site, which, by the way, is still sitting there behind his walls for the last 25 minutes. That he could add an extra 2,500 gold in the bank right now.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of gold missed out on. Looks like these villagers on the gold mine will get cleaned up, but MarineLorD is pushing up deeper and deeper, so even if he ever had the idea of thinking about a wonder to win this game, I think he's going to give up on that, because he's realizing that in a slow and grindy push he can push up, and only 87 eco left for Beasty. he has a juggernaut army. I mean, 130 military population is no joke, especially with the network of citadels. But replenishing that army could be difficult if these fights take a long time. So obviously, he's gonna have enough to replace the first wave, but will he have enough to replace 3-4 waves of units? That's the question.
Yeah, the Springald numbers starting to move up now for Beastyqt. We can see he's got 9 Springalds out, and he's going to be able to do a lot of damage here out on this front. Looking to try and trade out with his enemy. Keep in mind the Rus Springalds have recently been nerfed. Not going to have that 13.5 range that they used to have, down to just a measly 12.5 with that roller shutter triggers. And now Beastie looking for another raid down towards the south. This could be terrible damage coming out here.
I love this move from Beastie. He's realizing that he has to break a stalemate, he's going to launch a counterattack, and his opponent's army is now slow. MarineLorD does have some Lancers out there somewhere, but he's gonna have to call all of those back to deal with this aggression. And you see, Beastie does have its buffer, because he's got the defensive castles, he's got the network of citadels, and look at that, MarineLorD is going down to 82 eco. This counterattack is doing so much damage.
Yeah, looking to drop a keep down in the base, but it looks doubtful that it's going to get up. He's trying his hardest, but you can see the Knights just causing havoc, and this is the consequence of having no stone walls. It means that you have got potential angles that are always going to get broken through, broken into, and at the same time on the front, we see plenty of spears coming out here for Beastyqt. A lot of Springalds on the back line going to keep firing down. He's looking healthy.
Smokes.
Looking happy.
65 villagers for MarineLorD. One counterattack, we talked about this, just one engagement, one comeback potential, and that is all you need. Remember when we discussed whether Beastie is not tapping out early? Because if you drag the game out, you might have a window to do a tremendous amount of damage with it. That's exactly it. He has just pushed his opponent down to 64 eco. Obviously, MarineLorD does have some buffer with that resource bank, but suddenly Beastie's in a commanding position.
Yeah, he's looking a lot better now, but keep in mind his villager count is only at 71. So realistically, both of these guys, they are struggling. They are fighting. It is an attrition battle. They've got a whole bunch of resources, but not a whole lot of villagers. And once again, another raid going to get cleaned up by MarineLorD. He is trying his best to hold on, and the Streltsy going to begin pushing forward past this wall for what feels like the 17th time this game. More units slowly making their way towards the front. MarineLorD, obviously, MarineLorD getting Tithe Barns through. It is a delayed Tithe Barns coming through. It is the 47th minute. I think he hit the Imperial Age about the 28th minute. So this is a 20-minute delayed Tithe Barn right now. That hurts because that is a massive amount of stone that could have been collected for these relics.
Yeah, that would have been a lot. And now the good news for MarineLorD is that he had a big resource bank. So sure enough, he lost a bunch of villagers, but this is what happens when you have a ton of resources in the bank, ton of units in the queue, you are 200 out of 200 population, and then the enemy comes in and raids you, kills 50 villagers. What's gonna happen is that all of those units that are currently stuck in the queue because of the pop cap suddenly pop out, and you shift from having 100 villagers and 100 army to having 50 villagers and 150 army. That's what we are seeing here for MarineLorD. He's replacing all those lost villagers with army, and those are very population efficient units out there as well with the Lancers.
And more Knights going to be breaking through once again, heading towards the base of Beastyqt, but at the same time, wait a minute, I've seen this before. We got Benny Hill music playing. There are just units running around non-stop. Every villager needs to be called towards the base and looks to try and keep itself alive, but we can see that keeps are going up in all of the important positions. We've got keeps going down on the, keeps going up on the trade line, keeps going up near the gold mines, keeps going up on the farms as well. And now, speaking of farms, MarineLorD finding a couple of villagers over towards that northern position.
And Beastie's hitting where it hurts because he's killing the trade. And we talked about this one. MarineLorD lost a lot of villagers as well, but losing the trade hurts even more because replacing that is more difficult, and that is essentially the only source of gold MarineLorD has. Beastie, he loses some villagers, he replaces them, he still has food and gold available from the farms. But MarineLorD can't afford to lose all those traders, especially if you take a look at his gold count right now, only 1900, not so spectacular if you consider that he's about to lose most of his gold income.
Yeah, it's a really good point. But keep in mind, we've got the Tithe Barns together with the 5 relics. He did manage to take those 5 relics, and that could be the difference in this late game. But now Beastie going to be sealing up that hole in the wall. Keep in mind, MarineLorD continues to trebuchet and bombard down those walls. In fact, he's lost all of his bombards, but we do see the first mangonels of the game coming out at the 49-minute mark. There they are in the middle of the map, coming out now, looking to move and make their way through. There's obviously a lot of infantry coming out for Beastyqt, so it makes sense to bring out the mangonels, but the question is whether we see out some Ribaldiquin in response. Do we dare see Ribaldiquin come out? Oh my lord, could you imagine if we see Ribaldiquin? It's going to happen. I can feel it. Beastyqt is going to do it. Surely he's going to do it. surely is going to do it, but... Oh, excuse me. Trebuchets. Do you see the way they were unfolding right there? Just doing so much damage.
I would love to see those Streltsy being placed on those stone walls, because they would get extra range, they would get damage reduction from those longbows, and you can take over your opponent's stone walls like that. It would be such a good position to hold for those Streltsy. Looks like instead MarineLorD is diving deep in here with the Knight, and once again, he's got the critical mass to overpower those initial longbows. Reinforcements now flooding in though for Beasty.
And that's exactly it. The closer we get to this base of Beasty, the closer those reinforcements get. But there's not a lot in queue for him at the moment. Now all of a sudden he's put 18 horsemen in the queue, six knights in the queue, and a whole bunch of units beginning to move forward here for MarineLorD. He might sense that there is blood in the water. The Streltsy are going to be pushing forward. We see that the Trebs on the back line have taken out the keep, and more reinforcements coming in. Knights looking to try and defend against these masses, these hordes of infantry as they continue coming through, and it's starting to look a little bit better for MarineLorD. Beastyqt down to 129 population, MarineLorD on 186. There's still plenty of resources in the bank for Beastyqt. The question is going to be whether he's able to get out these units. He's trying his best. There's a lot of units that are in queue for him. He's got hand cannon. He's also coming out spearmen together, working with knights and trying his best, and now all of a sudden going to be able to clean this up as the horsemen begin moving out towards the Streltsy. It looks like a bit of a screen going to be run now. The knight's going to be trying to hold on and prevent all this damage from coming through, but the trebuchet's still looking strong on the back line. 3 trebuchets together with a couple spearmen and a mangonel just randomly taking out outposts and taking out barracks and just doing everything but doing its job. And it's starting to look good right now for MarineLorD.
He's taking down production buildings, and if you look at the wood bank for Beasty, the only thing that Beasty doesn't have is wood. He can't replenish his spearmen, he can't replenish his longbows, the trebuchets, and most importantly, the production buildings out there. He's being overrun big time. He's down to 32 army as opposed to 105, and Beasty's gonna tap out. MarineLorD takes game number 2 with Drus.
Jeez Louise, what a game did we just witness. I gotta say, I'm impressed by that. I came into this game thinking that English is going to be the #1 civ in this matchup when it comes to the late game, but we just saw a post-Imperial game where you've got unarguably the best late game player, Beastyqt, on the English, losing to MarineLorD. Just very well played by MarineLorD. Incredible stuff. Look at those village accounts. Oh my lord.
Yeah, so many factors to look at over here. And when we look back at everything that transpired, you know, MarineLorD adding that trade early, being able to pick up 5 relics, those are the things that helped him to win. This wasn't an easy win for MarineLorD, and really, you see, he had to grind so much, almost an hour, to win this game, even with 5 relics, as you said, Tithe Barns, though it was delayed. But the trade, the Tithe Barns, the very efficient late-game Rus army as well, it still took him a lot of time to grind down Beasty, but Beasty simply ran out of wood. So once again, insufficient wood strikes. It's very costly to replace all those longbows and repair those buildings consistently, and probably the key factor was that MarineLorD was the aggressor for the majority of the second half of the game, aside from a couple of raids from Beasty, but in the direct push, MarineLorD was the aggressor.
Yeah, it was hard for him to close out this game. Obviously, he tried his best to close out the game, but just really struggled to do that. Yeah, impressive stuff. And unfortunately for Beastyqt, his win rate on the English going to be dropping down. He was 1 win and 4 losses. Now you can add another loss onto that board. It's going to be 1 win, 5 losses, which means he's down on 16% win rate for his English. So